Some trails should never be followed. Some stories should never be told. This is true Appalachian nightmare. Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Before we start, please subscribe.
What takes the chickens? There are things in Appalachia that don't announce themselves. They don't roar. They don't chase. They don't leave tracks you can follow. They take what they need and leave just enough behind to make sure you understand. After the night of the storm, no one talked about what I'd seen. Not directly, but the holler changed. Adults lingered longer on porches. Doors stayed locked before sunset. Conversation stopped when kids walked into the room. My grandmother started burning sage and cedar every morning, pushing smoke into corners and along door frames. She never said why. 3 days after the lightning, my uncle found his chickens dead. All 8 of them. Their coop sat less than a mile up the road, tucked against the same tree line that pressed in around all of us. He raised those birds carefully. Locked enclosure, buried wire, reinforced latches. Raccoons and foxes had tried before and failed. This wasn't like that. Every chicken was laid out inside the coop. Not scattered, not dragged away. Placed. Their bodies were intact, feathers smooth, wings folded, but every head was gone, removed cleanly as if twisted off by hand. There was no blood, not inside the coop, not in the dirt, not on the wire. My uncle didn't call animal control. He didn't call the police. He burned the bodies himself, standing there with his hat in his hands while the smoke curled up into the trees. I remember the smell, burnt feathers and something sharp underneath it. Metallic. That same taste crept into my mouth again, faint but unmistakable. That afternoon, my grandmother walked me back home without saying a word. Halfway there, she stopped at the edge of the road, right where the lightning had shown me the thing standing days earlier. She pressed her thumb into the dirt. "Don't ever cross the road at night," she said quietly. I asked her why. She didn't answer. That night, the woods went quiet again. No insects, no frogs, no wind. Just that heavy stillness, like the world was listening. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling when I heard it. A sound like hooves, but wrong, too slow, too deliberate, not striking the ground so much as testing it. I didn't look out the window. That was another rule no one had to tell me. The next morning, my dad found something at the edge of our yard. A mark in the mud near the creek crossing. It wasn't a footprint, not exactly. It looked like a hoof at first glance, split down the middle, but the edges were uneven, pressed too deep, as if whatever made it was heavier than it should have been. My dad stared at it for a long time. Then he filled it in with dirt. We didn't camp that summer again. Weeks passed, but the rules tightened. No whistling, ever. No calling out after dark. If something knocks, you wait. Every now and then, I'd catch the smell again. Burning metal, faint, but close. When it happened, my grandmother would pause whatever she was doing and listen. Always listen. One afternoon, I asked her what took my uncle's chickens. She stopped scrubbing the sink and looked at me. Not angry, not scared. Tired. "Some things," she said, "don't eat like animals." That night, lightning rolled far away, distant and silent. No storm reached us, but the flashes still lit up the woods in brief, unnatural bursts. For just one of those flashes, I saw movement across the road. Tall, thin, standing where it shouldn't have been. When the darkness returned, something scraped against the side of the house. Slow, careful, like it was counting doors. The next morning, my grandmother added a new rule. If you ever hear it walking, she said, you don't pray, you don't run, you stay still, and you don't let it know you noticed. I asked her what it was. She shook her head. You don't give a name to something that listens. That was the first time I realized the rules weren't about keeping us safe. They were about keeping the peace. Because whatever took the chickens wasn't hunting. It was reminding us.
The taste of burning metal. No one warned me about the taste. They warned me about voices, about whistling, about roads and woods and rules, but no one ever told me that fear would have a flavor the first time it happened. I thought it was blood. I checked my mouth, wiped my lips, swallowed again and again, but it stayed. Sharp, bitter, like I'd bitten down on a live wire. After the night, I heard my name called from the trees. The taste started coming back more often, not constantly, not randomly. Only when the woods went quiet, only when the air felt heavy, like it was waiting for something to finish happening. I started asking questions in careful ways, not naming anything, just listening to adults when they thought kids weren't paying attention. That's when I learned I wasn't the only one. My uncle said he tasted it the night his chickens died. He thought it was nerves, acid reflux, anything but what it actually was. A neighbor said it hit him once while fixing his fence at dusk. He went inside immediately and didn't come out until morning. Another woman said she tasted it when she was a girl, just before something followed her home from the creek. Every story ended the same. Way silence, avoidance, no names. One afternoon, my grandmother caught me staring at the tree line. She followed my gaze, then spoke so quietly I almost missed it. That taste, she said, means it's close enough to notice you. I asked her why it tasted like metal. She sighed, because it ain't from your mouth. That night, the silence came early. No insects, no frogs, no wind. Just that awful stillness pressing in from every direction. The taste bloomed sharp and sudden. Gagged, my grandmother stood up and shut the window slowly, carefully, like speed might be interpreted as panic. From the porch came a sound like breath, but not breathing. Too measured, too patient, then came a scrape. Not against the door, against the road. Something was standing right, the boundary. Lightning flash, no thunder. The woods lit up like a photograph. Across the road, I saw it clearer than ever before. Tall, thin, wrong. Its head sat too still, like it didn't need to move to see. Its legs bent the wrong way at the knee, just slightly. One arm hung lower than the other, and its mouth. Its mouth was open, not wide. Listening, the metal taste surged so strong, I thought I'd vomit. My grandmother grabbed my shoulder. "Don't look too long," she whispered. "That's how it learns your shape." The light vanished, so did it, but the taste lingered. Days later, my dad finally said something. He told me the taste was called the warning, not by scientists, by locals. He said his father felt it once, years ago, while walking home drunk. He made it to the porch before something stepped into the road behind him. He never drank. Again, the warning doesn't mean you're in danger. It means you've been noticed. And there's a difference. Danger implies intent. Notice implies evaluation. That's why animals die without being eaten. That's why voices call without chasing. That's why doors aren't broken down. It isn't hunting. It's checking, seeing. Rules are still being followed. That realization changed everything, because if the taste is a warning, then the absence of it means something far worse. One night, weeks later, I stood at my bedroom window and looked out at the road. No silence. No metallic burn. No warning at all. Lightning flashed. It was standing in the yard. Don't answer when it calls. There's a reason. Appalachian parents don't shout for their kids after dark. It isn't superstition. It isn't politeness. It's because names don't always belong to the people who speak them. After the chickens were taken, the holler felt watched, not haunted, monitored, like something had marked us and was waiting to see what we'd do next. The silence came more often, sometimes in the middle of the afternoon, sometimes just before dawn. When it happened, my grandmother would stop whatever she was doing and tilt her head, listening like a hunting dog. She never told us what she heard. School started back in late August. The bus stop sat near the bend in the road, where the trees leaned close enough to almost touch over the asphalt. For weeks, no kid stood there alone. Parents came with us, sometimes 2, sometimes 3. One morning, my dad got delayed at work. My grandmother walked me instead. She held my wrist the entire time, halfway there. She leaned down and whispered, "If you hear anything call you, you don't answer. Not even me." I nodded. I already knew the rule. The bus came and went. School passed uneventfully. It wasn't until the walk home that the rule mattered. The sky had turned that heavy Appalachian gratha, kind that presses down on your ears. No wind, no bugs, just that thick, waiting quiet. I was halfway up the road when I heard it, my name spoken softly, familiar, warm. My mother's voice. She was at work. I knew that. But the sound pulled at something deep in my chest, the way only a parent's voice can. It came from the trees just beyond the ditch. "Come here," it said. The metal taste hit my mouth so hard my eyes watered. I stopped walking. My grandmother's rule slammed into my head like a door closing. Don't answer. Don't go. Don't let it know you heard. The voice came again, closer this time. Not louder. More precise. Like it was adjusting. "I'm right here," it said. I stared at the ground and kept walking. The silence that followed was worse than the voice. No birds. No leaves. No creek. The world shrank down to my footsteps and my heartbeat. That's when I smelled it. Burnt copper. Old pennies? Something electrical and dead. I didn't run. Running would mean panic, and panic is an invitation. When I reached the house, my grandmother was waiting on the porch. She didn't ask what happened. She just ushered me inside and locked the door behind us that night. Something circled the house. I heard it pacing along the road's slow steps, stopping at the edge of the yard. Once, it scraped against the porch post, not hard, just enough to make sure we knew. I didn't sleep. The next day, a neighbor's dog went missing. The collar was found by the creek. Buckle snapped. No blood. My grandmother burned sage again, heavier this time. She smeared ash above the doorframe and pressed her thumb there, same gesture she'd used at the road. That afternoon, I finally asked her, "What happens if you answer?" She didn't look at me when she spoke. "Then it knows where to stand." I didn't understand then. I do now. Because voices carry something more than sound. They carry permission. And whatever lived in those woods didn't need to chase you. It just needed you to step closer that night. Lightning flashed far away, not close enough for thunder. The woods lit up in stark, frozen pieces. For one heartbeat of light, saw it across the road, standing just beyond the trees, waiting.